everybody. Welcome back to God Somme, a wine podcast where we are doing it, sounding it, looking at a little bit different for the next couple of episodes because we are in Tassie. We've come down to the Apple Isle? Is that what we call Tasmania?
Yeah. Coming from a Kiwi, but yes, that's
right.
Correct.
Okay.
Been here long enough, should know that.
I lived in Launceston for 3 months. I should as well. But we are here with Devil's Corner, trying out some of their new, old, and emerging vintages. And the best person to speak to is the Senior Winemaker, Tom Wallace. Hello, and thanks so much for having us.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. It's been a bit of a battle to get here, just with flights as usually coming into Tasmania, or just flights in general anywhere.
Yeah, it was weird. We got a cancellation on the Friday night. We meant to be flying at 8 a.m. the next morning, and 8 p.m. just sitting on the couch getting ready for coming down here, and got your flight's been cancelled. But we did get a little bit delayed in this interview, but we've made it. So thanks for making time for us, and especially it might look a little bit different, or not aesthetically beautiful, but the surroundings of where we are it's the Cayenne winery.
It is the Cayenne winery, actually in the Tamar Valley.
Yeah.
Probably not that we're talking about that so much today.
Of course.
But we're in the heart of the winery here in one of our sort of insulated buildings, so it's quite cold.
Yeah.
But yes, everything's happening out the back there. We've had to make people be a little bit quiet because we're full on processing Pinot Noir.
How would you like to start? Because you've got a bunch of wines for us as well, Tom. What have you got for us to try while we talk about the process?
Well, I did duck into the museum a little bit. So we've got a 2016 entry-level Riesling, so our flagship sort of Devil's Corner range. I haven't looked at this wine for a little while, but back in the day, it took a trophy for Best Riesling and Reserve Wine of Show at the Tasmania Wine Show. You can pour, yeah. Use your expertise. So, and being Riesling, sort of entry-level, but being Riesling, they age beautifully. And, Tasmania just has this incredible fruit intensity, and the cool climate is really based around acidity, and that's what makes great Riesling. So one of the things, I get a bit biased, supposedly, with Tasmania, but we can do many, many things pretty well. But Riesling has that intensity of acidity, and that would be what sets us apart maybe from some of the other areas, which obviously it's still about acids in those areas, but you just get this incredible intensity from Tasmania. And I tend to balance it because I find they're completely dry, they're very austere. But it's literally, sort of 3 grams. So. Okay.
Well, we're going to have a little smell, and then I guess my first question to you is, how'd you get into wine?
Oh, it's a long road. Big story. I didn't start till I was about 26 years old. So, yeah, I'm originally a New Zealander. I've been in Tasmania since 2010. But I went back, if we go back a long time, I did the old OE, overseas education, when I was about 20. At that stage, didn't really know what I wanted to do. We'd been working in hospitality, cooking, behind bars, and a little bit, a lot of drinking. And over there, I got into wine. My parents had always been into wine, but I'd never really done too much of it. And then worked in some pretty flash restaurants and had good wine lists. Came home and eventually sort of went, I'm just going to go study wine. And as soon as I walked into a winery, it was the first time in my life that I'd actually wanted to study, and this passion. And you find something that you actually like for the first time and you want to do it, it was like.
And what's been your favorite experience in the winery so far?
Oh, so many. It's pretty tough to pick them out. One of my first vintages was in California at a pretty small place doing lots of 100-year-old vines, but we were right next to San Francisco, so it was pretty good fun. But yeah, I've done vintages in Italy and in France, and a few in Australia when I was based in New Zealand, so that was quite unique. But I think Tasmania has been a revelation of just arriving here and the reality of the quality of wines that we could achieve, and that sort of locked me into going, I don't really think there's anywhere else that I can go now where I'm going to make better wine than I have, and the vineyard potential that we have the resources for in the position that I'm in, it's pretty amazing.
So Devil's Corner, known for being the cool climate wines, and now we're in it and we're talking about how cold it is here, and that's coming from Melburnians. But for you, what do you love about the climate that makes such great yields for you? Like, what is it about Tassie's weather that excites you about the potential of where it is now, and do you feel it can be affected by maybe global climate warnings?
Yeah, good question. In general, it is that cool climate, and generally the weather is coming from the west, and we've got that big national park, the forest. So most of the rain generally falls on the west coast, and then there's a mountain range towards the east coast, which then gathers. So we can go for long periods on the east coast where it's actually quite dry. That hasn't particularly been the case with La Nina, but we'll get there. And then, that cool climate just gives you the time and draws out the ripening, gives you those warm days, cool nights, which gives that diurnal temperature change, which retains acidity. And I think personally, I've said this on a few things, is that acid is the real thing that makes great wine. It doesn't matter what variety you're doing. And sparkling, obviously, Tasmania is incredibly renowned for sparkling, but everything else is built around that acid. And I think we will be affected by climate change. For some, I think it might be a boon. If it's a small amount, it might just give us a little bit more ripeness in some of the wines. The thing about being in a cool climate, and we've seen it with rain that we've had last week, and we've got rain towards the end of the week, is the risk that you take trying to get your grapes to the correct ideal ripeness, I suppose, with disease. And, because it takes so long to get it there. And that's really the balancing act of, that, and especially that special site that we have, Devil's Corner, where we're right on the coast there. So you are getting weather patterns that come around, and it's just making sure that you can balance everything that you've got going on to get the best grapes that you possibly can.
So obviously acidification is never a problem because you have plenty acid, but would the acidification in some parts, in some vineyards or some grapes be a thing?
Deacidification is a thing I hear for some people. I find it a dirty word. I don't believe in deacidification.
Because you would want to preserve it as much as you can. But
I think potentially it might happen if you really got put under pressure and you had to pick something early.
Yeah.
And it was just so acid that you just couldn't. I tend to think that you can make great wines and you can pick it where you want to. And if you've got lots of acid, I think, I tend to perhaps stop a ferment a little bit early and balance it with a little bit of sugar. And never so that they're sweet, but just it gives a little bit of flesh, gives a bit more body. But I never want the wines to be called sweet, and it might be 3 or 4 grams.
So would the case of, for example, what the pressure with rain pressure, you would have to harvest a little bit earlier, and therefore in that case then manage either the ferment or then DCFI, which is a dirty word for you, right? So.
It is a dirty word for me. I'm extremely fortunate, and I mean, we're talking about that vineyard is 190 hectares, so generally, and it's 5 kilometres long, down the coast. So you've got an incredible amount of different aspects, different spheres, different angles, different places where you get the grapes. So you can balance it with another. So if you might pull something in a little bit, right, but you can find something else and you balance it in that way. And that's how I generally manage those things. A lot of people, I dare say, it's much harder to be a small winemaker where you've only got one parcel and that's your wine, and trying to blend things, where I've got these opportunities to blend things and sort things out that way.
This is beautiful.
Yeah. So the 2014 Riesling, which is the entry level 16, sorry, yeah, award winning. For you now, how do you think it's aged 9 years on, and why do you think this year was exceptional and won awards?
Good question. 16, with Riesling, it's really interesting actually. 16 was a really high yields. And with Riesling in Tasmania, we've seen it that some really great Rieslings. 2008 was a classic, where huge amount of grapes, and they made these incredible wines of Riesling that just lived forever. And 16 was similar to that. It was warm season, so maybe that is, in a warm season, this is what I was saying with climate change, maybe it will actually give us another little step, a bit more fruit. And yeah, I think this is holding on really well.
Really well, yeah. Nice acidity and a lot of tertiary now aromas as well. Development, that marmalade almost, and honey.
Yeah, and
really lovely.
I mean, you get some fruit punch in these wines, these Rieslings from down there, and that's something that's really unique to the flavour spectrum, I think. And it's, for us, we're a bit of a trophy-winning place. We enter shows so we get the chance to win them. But the 2015 won the International Decanter Award for Best Riesling in the world.
Oh, wow.
I only found out after it all sold out, so you're like...
Surely there's...
should have kept the palette.
I couldn't find a bottle of that.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so no, we were extremely lucky.
And in terms of winemaking, what it's changed from 2016 to 22, for instance?
Very little. Yeah, very little. We make it pretty much the same way. It's all about the fruit with the Riesling. We're picking around that sort of 12 Beaumet, and it's always a battle with botrytis. I mean, it's a late season variety for harvest.
That's a good point. So botrytis, you get botrytis sometimes? I mean, or you...
When don't we get botrytis?
Yeah. So because
especially in Riesling, we get.
Yeah.
Every season that I've been here, 2017 was probably the only one that stood out where we didn't have botrytis in Riesling. It's just one of those things that you get. You can manage it in the winery. So you know there's things you can do. You can add bentonite or fruit handling and things like that. And it can handle quite a lot of botrytis. I mean, I think this would have had a lot of botrytis. And generally you don't see it in the wines. I think even back then I wasn't even doing too much to actually, I was just treating it the same. And people do sometimes say that they can see a little bit of botrytis. I don't have the refined palate. I'm just like, it tastes good to me.
Well, it does.
We did discuss that yesterday on a younger vintage. Like, wow, it does have a little bit of that botrytis aromas, but much younger. And this one is so developed now, so tertiary. It's beautiful. It's really good. Holding really nice Riesling, really nice acidity. Beautiful.
Yeah,
fantastic.
You get that mineral acidity that drives it home.
Yeah, definitely.
On the next episode from Devil's Corner, we're going to be in Devil's Den doing an episode, and we're going to be trying the Resolution Chardonnay that's the current vintage available. But you've got a little back vintage for us to try as well.
I have probably my favourite wine, Resolution Chardonnay, and yeah, I think Chardonnay is underrated from Tasmania. There's not a lot of producers making top end Chardonnay, and this is the full works. It's the best. It's 100% hand picked. It's 100% barrel fermented. Generally all wild yeast, and you know. I can't remember when the first vintages of this might have been the 15 or 16 or something like that. But yeah, I think I've been doing a lot of work with Chardonnay, and I see a lot of wines, and I think Tasmania has this incredible reputation. Tolpuddle was doing fantastic, but there aren't a lot of it because you can turn it on into sparkling and yield it so much higher. There's more value to put it, and there's a lot of work to make a sort of top end Chardonnay. But I think these wines would stand up with any in the world, to be honest.
The 2019 Chardonnay, the Resolution we're trying right now, and it is it's wonderful.
I think it's the age as well. The age just makes it smoother, creamier. But then again, 100% malolactic.
Yeah.
It's still fresh.
Yeah, so around 2018, I certainly picked it earlier. So again, aiming for probably 11.8 to 12.2 Beaumet. Retains the acid, gets the flavour, but the flavours are sort of tight. It's tight, and then you use I know, South Australia, they created the story a few years ago that you don't really need malolactic fermentation because they didn't really have the acid to support it. But I think top Chardonnay, you can make top Chardonnays without doing malic, but top Chardonnays, usually you get another level of complexity from doing malo. It doesn't have to be 100%. Generally, we are 100%. But I think, and then if you can retain the acid after that, you get another layer of complexity.
Would 19 be the same as what you do now? 17, 20% new oak?
This is about, I reckon this is probably 25% new oak. And it usually is 25 to 30.
The Pinot Noir 17, isn't it, around?
From the 22, we actually had some entry-level stuff that we raised up that was really sort of funky and sulphide-y, which was actually a tank ferment, which we went through a wild tank ferment. It got this real sulphide character, so we added 10%. I don't know if you can remember yesterday. The 22 has a mid-palate texture to it, that this is probably more of a straight line, which is probably more traditional for my style, but I think the 22 does have this texture to it and this creaminess on the mid-palate that's sort of another layer of complexity, which is what that entry level actually brought to that wine.
So do you think with winemaking, do you recognize unique and individual wine techniques that someone's made this wine or had their imprint on something? And if that is true, what is something unique about Tom Wallace's direction with wine that stamps you, that someone might go, oh, that's really interesting you did that, Tom, we haven't been doing that, and here's the reason why?
Oh, geez, that's a layered question.
Take your time with it.
I certainly go out of my way to ask people how they make their wines, and if there's a character that I like in a wine, and have had influences certainly in the industry here and in the mainland. And I judge at wine shows, so it gives you exposure to other winemakers, and you obviously talk to your colleagues as well. But there's people doing things like carbonic maceration, which is Pinot Noir, that certainly is a part of our program, that we sort of got a little bit from some of Sinapius or from Peter Dredge, who does Dr. Edge, who's that, and we do our own spin on it. But that's added layers, and that's probably something that we bring to our Pinot program. Chardonnay, for me, it's really all about the grapes. And I mean, well, everything in the end is all about the grapes, but it's your site, that section. There's a bit of clonal stuff, which we target. We've certainly got small volumes of certain clones that we certainly target each year, like Mendoza or Penfolds or something like that. And then just the most important thing is just that picking date. And that's the same for everything, but certainly the style of your wine is generated from when you pick and managing to get it at that sugar level. That makes your style. Some of our 2020 wines, and certainly the Chardonnays, are a bit different in style because we had to pick earlier just because we had that rain pressure or disease pressure, and they're really lean, like Chablis-esque type thing, and they're cool, but they're not sort of my style. And this wine certainly, for me, it screams sort of that style. And I don't know if that answered your question, but there's certainly, I just try to make the best wines I possibly can.
So just like the Chardonnay, Tom, you're giving us a back vintage of something we're going to try in the next episode. So we'll try the current vintage, which is, what are we going to be trying on the next episode of the Resolution Pinot Noir? Is it the 2021 that's released at the moment?
Well, I think we've got the 2014 as the back vintage.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at a tank sample that's just about to be bottled of 21.
Oh, wow.
Actually, no, sorry, I'm getting that completely wrong. It's a Mount Amos 21 we've got, and a 12 Mount Amos. 12 was the original vintage of Mount Amos.
The first.
So, yeah.
Cool. Very, very exciting. Thank you so much for going into the back catalogue.
That,
I can see the colour.
Brick.
Yeah.
So 2014 was one of our very, very low yielding years. I'm talking about very, very low yields. And this is one of our first vintages of this resolution. And I haven't looked at it for a while, but it was a very structured and quite bunchy wine when we first made it. I don't know, I should say, I didn't really like it when it first came out. It was like had this ammonia almost character of like greenness. And then they gave it the trophy for best Pinot at the Tasmanian Wine Show, and I went, I still don't really like it. But someone likes that style. So, but it's aging. Aging really, really well. So I'm not complaining about it now.
It's hard to, you can smell the age, especially from us being, pretty well versed in Devil's Corner Pinot Noir, especially with the current vintages, just, being a fan of the wine themselves. But this is something different on the nose.
Rich.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all the age so far. No, everything with age, it's making the wines look very, very good.
Oh, just complex and rich. It's so concentrated. And now that I taste it, I can still see so Pinot for me is, I'm pretty fortunate to have some pretty amazing tasting experiences through doing Len Evans and things like that. And how the French do that thing of having a wine that is ethereal, light, but incredibly concentrated and incredibly long. Like not heavy. And that's what I've always tried to pursue. And I think this is a cool wine, but it's real robust and concentrated and things like that. Whereas I'm sort of generally now, this is well before then, I'm looking for that sort of ethereal, and it's a difficult thing to do because sometimes you just get passed off as being wines that are light and airy if you're not, whereas I think if you look deep into the wines now that we're making, and hopefully we see it maybe in the 21 later on, they have that lightness, but their length and the concentration are still there.
So would this have had a little bit of wall bunch back then?
Yeah.
Because it's now still some green notes, but these green notes are like so integrated now into the wine. It's looking
exactly.
Really, really
it's good. That's that ammonia. It's like when it was young, it was like an ammonia. It was really, really green.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is so green. It kind of I keep name dropping other places, but it kind of looked like old Central Otago stuff, which is pretty, they've sort of modernized their style. They were pretty rich and dense, and it kind of looked like that, and I can see what people sort of like it. But it's just not my style. It's still not my style.
Yeah.
And I made it.
Well, what are you most excited to? And I should also say, how long have you been making the wine here? How long have your hands been in the grapes?
I started here in 2010.
Okay, wow.
I took over the winemaking in 2013 for the 2013 vintage. So this is my second one.
Everything we've tried has been...
There's a 12 that would have been the previous wine, but I was here for it, so we can talk about that for sure.
I'd like to try one of the other Pinots next to it so we can have a little bit of side-by-side if possible as well.
Yeah, it's not going to look like this one, but that's cool.
Well, very different as well. We're just trying this is a Mount Amos.
2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
Versus the Devil's Corner Resolution 2014.
It's more earthy, like a wetter thing. The 14 is more, back at it, it's more smoky and green, and the 12 it's more wet earth, mushroom.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think that 12 you see more mid-weight sort of wine, but a lovely length and persistence. You can see what it was when it was young, and it still sits there. I think it would just open up beautifully. I think the 14 is just like, it's still wound tight, whereas this is sort of just drinking, sort of sitting, just probably just beginning to slightly tail off, but you can just see it sits really prettily. Like, that's a wine that I know is Pinot Noir, and the length and the balance of it is really well finessed. So that's similar, would have had about 10-15% whole bunch in it. But it was only, at that stage, we were only taking D4, V2 and 777 right at the top of the vineyard for estate. So it was a pretty small program back then.
What do you see for the future? Is there any sort of technology or equipment that's coming through that's making wine easier, less personal, that you're seeing on the way? Because obviously the integration of machine harvest was a big one, but is there any sort of equipment? Do you go to trade shows and there's some new John Deere tractor that's going to revolutionize winemaking or anything that we don't know about?
For sure. I mean, sparkling wine, Giro palettes.
Yeah, well, that was back in the day. Yeah, no, lots of stuff coming through. And I mean, there is a trade show every 3 years, I think, generally in Adelaide in South Australia. Yeah, where you do see all that stuff. There's lots of stuff going on. I mean, I think harvesters is a good one. We have a Palenque selective harvester, so it really retains all the whole berries. So if you're not hand picking, we hand pick some, but if you're machining, you've still got those whole berries that are so important. And then there's guys out there who do have the sort of, I don't know, unlimited budgets. So I'm sure they won't mind me dropping their names, like Shaw and Smith or Oak Ridge, who have the Ocelus sorters, so they can handpick, and they might, you see those tables of people having a sorting table with people picking out 5 or 6 people. You get one of these machines and it blasts little blasts of air and gets rid of any sort of inputs. So I've seen some photos this year of Dave Bicknell's berries, and I was just like, oh, that's not fair. So there is stuff you can get, that can sort of improve things, but they're sort of 1%ers. I don't think you're ever going to get past the fact that the site and the climate is the number one factor, and you can't
get robots to fix it. Or maybe
where you
one
get
day,
your grapes is the most important thing.
For a Shaw and Smith, for example, having that incredible machine that sorts through the grapes, and that's awesome, right? That's super cool. But there's this chase for perfection in everything, right? Everyone wants to be perfect in what they do, but there's something lovely about imperfections in everything, including winemaking. What's your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point. I think John Brown, who's one of the Brown families, used to say it pretty well. He said, if you haven't screwed something up completely each vintage, then you're not really trying hard enough to do something unique. And I mean, we had a bit of a thing this year, which is going to be interesting. Someone pumped some Pinot Noir into one of our top Chardonnays.
I was just going to say, don't make a rosé as soon as you don't make a rosé, but someone did. Okay.
Yeah. So to be honest,
far.
that hasn't happened for me for a long time. We're a pretty good team, but
can you imagine?
So hang on. So someone accidentally put Pinot into Chardonnay.
Yeah, made a rosé.
Yeah, it's one of our top sort of sparkling Chardonnays, and I think it might be okay. But
did it create some sort of monster that's delicious?
It is quite delicious. if we can get hopefully the color drops out a bit through fermentation, which does happen and things like that. So we're keeping it separate and just sort of monitoring it. But yeah, I think there are certainly those things are still the case of trying things, and that's part of my winemaking as well. Every year I'm trying something, and you do sometimes stuff it up. Like, you know, we've got some single vineyard wines that we make, and sometimes I go, oh, okay, it's been great destemmed for 5 years. Let's put some whole bunch with it, and done it and gone, no, that's awful. And go back to just straight de-stems, because it really gives a much better, because when you de-stem it, you're really showcasing the fruit more so. Yeah. And, you know, you throw stalks in there and suddenly you're showcasing stalks, and you're kind of like, oh. So you get, as a winemaker, you get 12 months of regret, because you have to look at it for 9 months until it's blended away, and then you like can start afresh. But yeah, always. I mean, even just yesterday, I was like, we had 2 fermenters there of 115, and I'm like, okay, let's put a whole bunch on the bottom and de-stem the balance on top, and then we'll de-stem this one and we'll put the whole bunch on top. It's something I've done probably 10 years ago, just as a bit of a play, because you get the whole bunches being at the bottom. There's sort of in the absence of air, so you get a bit of carbonic material, the grapes fermenting from the inside out, and then the ones on the top, you get a bit more of the stalk, and the grapes get broken up. So they're quite different in the way they react. And I'm like, oh, let's just have a look at it again.
Let's just see what's
just
happening.
Fun. Yeah, constantly. I think you constantly got to try, because it's always, that is the thing about here and everywhere else, is it's a unique piece of property. It's a unique climate every single year. So it's not the same grapes. Although I might be harvesting the same 10 rows, it's not exactly the same each year. It changes. It's different expression, different day, you know, that you're harvesting. So they have different profiles.
Amazing.
What are we going to try next? We've got a couple of, I mean, they can't be described as clean skins, but you haven't got a label for them because they don't exist in the market yet.
No, that's right.
This is
pressure.
This is what I love about this podcast. Like, you know, we, on that, you know, Bindi Wines episode, he brought in the Darshan Pinot Noir, which isn't out yet. And that was really cool. And here we are having the same experience in Tasmania. So firstly, just thank you. But what are we going to be trying, and when's it hitting the market?
Well, we've got the Mount Amos Pinot Noir 21, which probably should be in bottle soon. And it's going to be bottled very soon and probably hit the market in about 6 months. So we've tasted the 12. So this is a 21. 21 is pretty good vintage, but we'll see that probably an evolution of probably my style of winemaking a little bit. And then we've got one that certainly doesn't exist yet and has never existed before. And I'm not sure if we should even give it its name, because I'm not sure if we've signed that up yet.
Oh, how cool. So you do have a name for it, but it just...
So we've got the Hazards range, which is the top of the range down at Devil's Corner. And this would be a new inclusion. So we have a Pinot Syrah. We've got
we're trying that next episode, yeah.
Ah, yes, fantastic. And then this is 100% Syrah.
Oh, so, okay, great.
And
you call it this is an idiot question, you call it a Syrah because that's where you got the vines from? It's from Old World? Because why is it not Shiraz?
I brought them over from France.
There you go, cool.
No,
you can't do that. You just can't do that.
No.
You wish we'd have done that.
It's well, for me, cool climate Shiraz is generally Syrah. So the French call it Syrah. New Zealand calls it Syrah. And I think this looks more like a New Zealand Syrah than an Australian Shiraz. It could be called Shiraz.
I'm going to try the Amos first.
So these might be, they're not, you know, they might have a little bit more higher CO2 because they haven't been bottled sometimes.
Now I'm going to try the Syrah.
That's interesting. Interesting
Ooh,
experience.
Interesting on the nose. So this is 2022, so it's brand new. In an ideal world, before I try it, when's this been released and ready for drinking straight away?
We're probably going to release this in 6 months.
Okay.
I think it's a 10 to 20 year wine. But it'll drink reasonably well. It's intensely white pepper, blueberries.
Yeah, blueberries. Wow, that's a really heavy blueberry wine.
So it's really, you know, it is very cool climate style, but it's ripe. So it's 13%, you know, it's 34% new French oak, but I don't think you can see any oak.
No, you can't really pick up on spice. No.
Yeah.
And final question for you. One thing we asked Philip Jones, and he gave a great answer for. Unfortunately, we couldn't find the bottle. It doesn't exist. But what is the one Devil's Corner bottle that you're most proud of? that you think is your best across Riesling, Chardonnay, Pinot, Syrah, whatever it is, and in your own selection, in your own cellar, what's a different bottle? What's another one that you're holding on for a special occasion?
Geez, there's so many Devil's Corner wines that I am, as I say, they are like your babies type thing, that I get so much joy from. I mean, Riesling has a special place in my heart. Chardonnay, as we've spoken about, and Pinot Noir. It probably would be a Chardonnay.
You do have a soft spot for a Chardonnay.
I do have a
Tom,
soft spot for a Chardonnay, and my fiance loves Chardonnay as well. So it tends to have quite a stream through the fridge in the drinking ability of every evening.
Us too. My partner is a massive fan for Chardonnay.
That's right. No, well, she would be the same. So no, it'd probably be any of those Resolution Chardonnays would be my drinking every day of the week. But it pains me not to not mention one of the others or something like that.
Of course, yeah.
And a wine in my cellar. Oh gosh, I wish I could afford good wine these days. I'm building a house. I have some Gaia Barbaresco.
Oh, nice.
That
Beautiful.
I bought when I had money from 98.
Nice. That's a big bottle.
So yes, I think there is.
What's the occasion?
Hidden. You know, I tend to find that they're best drunk with winemakers, or probably with maybe yourselves or something, people who appreciate them, because they are a slightly unique drink with that tannin profile and things like that. So I do tend to bring them out when those sorts of guys are around. You've got to wait. You've got to not bring them out late at night, though, because that's the thing.
That's true. Yeah, they go wasted. You go wasted because everyone is already drunk.
Winemakers do them all the time. They go, "Oh, you guys want to have a look at these?" And at midnight, it's not really the thing you want to see. It's like
It's
you're
a
kind of
first
like,
bottle
"I'd
sort of
really
thing."
just have a Boak's Red, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny though. You are right. The alcohol. There's some sort of like graph that exists where alcohol ingested versus quality of alcohol comes into it. And because I remember we had a friend around, and he was begging me not to open a good bottle. He's like, Angus, remember Bennis? He's like, do not open up the basket press. He's like, don't open it.
Oh, especially a basket press. You need to have food with it.
Yeah,
It
we didn't
can't
have
be the
food. We were
last
sitting on a
bottle-
couch. I was
Last bottle of the night. You can, you
Yeah.
know, it's a
I love that wine.
Yeah, of course.
Special experiences with that wine.
It is, yeah, right. But I was about to open it, and thankfully he stopped me. But you're right though. The algorithm is the wrong way around most of the time when it comes to wine, where people go, you know what, we're having such a good time. Let's just open up this really nice bottle and remember it. And then you wake up.
Remember that tanks that got mixed Pinot Noir Chardonnay. That should be the last bottle of wine of the night. You know.
That's right. We'll bottle that individually.
Yeah. Well, Tom Wallace, thank you so much for inviting us to Devil's Corner to learn a bit about your process. And it's been honestly a glorious few days in Tassie. This is the first trip that we've made outside of the studio. Hopefully more to come, because it's been so much fun. And also to get the opportunity to try wines, back catalogue wines, of course, but also to see what the future is here at the winery as well is really cool. And, you know, we'll be able to, you know, reshare this message when that wine does come out. Go, hey guys, remember that time that we got to try before you? Well, it's out now, and let other people learn the story about Devil's Corner wines, and in particular your winemaking process. So it's always an honor to come and learn from people who are so passionate about wine as we are. And thank you very much for your time.
No, cool guys. Thank you very much. And yeah, it's such a unique site down there at Devil's Corner. The cellar door is amazing, so I can never get used to being able to go down there. I did appreciate when they opened the coffee house and be able to get a coffee.
Oh,
but
yeah, they're good
you know, the views are just unbelievable. So opportunity to get there, get in.